$1.87. That was all she had. Carefully counted 3 times, Della stood by the window of her small, poorly furnished apartment, her fingers still tingling from holding the cold coins. It was Christmas Eve, and all she had to buy a gift for her beloved husband, Jim, was that paltry amount. Their apartment was modest, $8 a week. The faded wallpaper curled at the edges, the cracked mirror above the sink stood witness to their humble lives. But within these 4 walls lived love, pure, unwavering love. Della and Jim had been married just a year, yet life had not been kind to them. Jim's salary had recently been reduced to barely enough to cover rent and groceries. They scraped by, making sacrifices for one another in quiet, meaningful ways. Della's heart ached. Tomorrow was Christmas, and she had nothing of value to give the one person she cherished most. She turned away from the window and caught sight of herself in the mirror. Her eyes, usually full of life, now shimmered with worry. Then, almost instinctively, she let down her hair. A thick, cascading waterfall of chestnut brown flowed over her shoulders, reaching below her waist. The couple had 2 possessions they considered treasures. One was Jim's gold pocket watch, which had once belonged to his father and grandfather. The other was Della's long, radiant hair. When they walked together, people often turned to admire her beauty, her graceful stride, and especially her hair. Suddenly, a spark lit up in Della's eyes. She pinned up her hair quickly, threw on her old brown coat and hat, and hurried out into the chilly December air. She stopped in front of a small shop sign that read, "Madame Sofroni, hair goods of all kinds." She paused, took a breath, and stepped inside. The woman inside had a stern face and eyes that weighed and measured. "Will you buy my hair?" Della asked. "Take your hat off," said Madame Sofroni, with a practiced eye. Down fell the brown glory. $20, the woman said, lifting the heavy locks with quick fingers. "Give it to me quick," said Della. Within minutes, her hair was gone, her head lighter, and her heart fuller. She now had $20 and the $1.87, $21.87. With a renewed sense of purpose, she scoured every shop in the city in search of the perfect gift for Jim. After hours of walking, she found it. A simple, elegant platinum fob chain for Jim's watch. It was quiet in design, understated but refined, just like Jim himself. It cost $21. She handed over the money with joy, clutching the chain as if it were made of golden stars. She returned home, cheeks flushed from the cold and excitement. Once inside, Della examined her reflection. Her shorn hair was uneven, choppy in places. She looked like a schoolboy. She tried to fix it the best she could with a curling iron, hoping Jim wouldn't find her completely repulsive. She whispered to her reflection, "It's for him. He'll understand." She sat by the window, clutching the chain in a little velvet box, and waited. At 7 o'clock, Jim came home. He was thin, quiet, and serious. His overcoat was threadbare, and his gloves had holes. As he entered, he stood frozen in the doorway, staring at Della. His eyes widened, not with joy or anger, but with something unreadable. "Jim, darling, don't look at me like that," she said. "I had my hair cut off and sold it. I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. It'll grow back. I just had to do it. Here, look, isn't it beautiful?" She held out the chain. Jim said nothing. His eyes moved slowly from her face to the gift in her hand. Then, with a sigh, he dropped onto the worn-out couch and smiled, not with joy, but with disbelief. "Dell," he said, "nothing could make me love you less. But, would you open this?" He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small, wrapped package. Della's fingers trembled as she opened it. Inside were a pair of exquisite tortoiseshell combs with jeweled edges, just the kind she had longed for when they passed them in a shop window months ago. They were meant for her hair. "Oh, Jim," she whispered, tears gathering in her eyes. "My hair grows so fast. I'll wear them soon." She looked up at him with a smile, though her heart ached. Then suddenly, as if remembering something, she offered him the chain once again. "Your watch, Jim. Let me see it with this chain." Jim leaned back and smiled, placing a gentle hand over hers. "Dell," he said softly, "I sold the watch to buy your combs." For a moment, neither spoke. The room was silent but full of love, of sacrifice, of understanding deeper than words. They sat across from each other, their gifts now useless in function but priceless in meaning. Jim rose and wrapped his arms around Della. "My darling," he said, "let's put our Christmas presents away for now and keep them for a while. They're too nice to use just yet." They both smiled through tears. Oh, Henry, the master storyteller, called these two the wisest gift givers of all. The Magi, as you may recall, were wise men who brought valuable gifts to the baby Jesus. But no amount of gold, frankincense, or myrrh could ever equal the love that Jim and Della gave each other that Christmas. They had given all they had, not out of obligation or duty, but out of deep, selfless love. They were poor in possessions, but rich in heart. That night, their hearts beat in harmony with a truth few people ever come to know: the value of sacrifice, the strength of love, and the beauty of giving without expectation. Moral of the story: love is not measured by material possessions but by the depth of sacrifice and understanding two people share. True giving comes not from the wallet, but from the heart. Like Jim and Della, the greatest gift you can offer someone is a part of yourself.